Hello everyone, let's review the results of December's 3-card blind tournament here together. To start us off, I'd like to remind everyone that at the end of November, City of Traders, Mishra's Workshop, Urza's Saga, Balance, Lupine Prototype, and Shrieking Affliction were all banned. This means that most of the powerhouse decks that we have seen in this community's history are banned right now. This left many players wondering what was going to be the next dominant deck. Interestingly enough, unlike many prior months, there wasn't an obvious card or deck that massively outperformed the rest of the submissions. There was a tie for the two most popular cards this month. The first was a familiar face, which is Chancellor of the Forge, which had a meta share of 10.43% and an average score of 53%. Chancellor of the Forge has been one of the many faces of the format for some time now, and unlike other zero-cost 1/1 options like Memnite and Dryad Arbor, Chancellor of the Forge can be paired with cards like Foil or Fury to get extra value out of the card actually sitting in your hand. The other card tied for most popular this month was new to the format, Volatile Fault. For many players, this card was the boogeyman of the format, a card that you needed to either be playing with or playing around in the event that your opponent's going to be running it. The most popular deck using Volatile Fault and the most popular deck this month was Mayor of Avabruck, Mox Emerald, and Volatile Fault. This deck had a respectable 58% average score and represented 4.35% of the meta. Despite the popularity of Volatile Fault, the meta was very diverse, with an 81.74% diversity score. Other than that, there really isn't that much to remark on other than the fact that the meta felt extremely healthy this month. No specific archetype really stood out as dominant. There were plenty of aggressive, low-to-the-ground decks that were attempting to drop huge haymakers, as well as more controlling reactive decks. For that reason, I'm going to jump right into talking about our winners this month. In Group E, our winner was Kane R, who was playing Dwarven Hold, Fury, and Squee the Immortal. This deck is really cool because of how resilient it is. With Squee and Dwarven Hold, the deck can continue to push its threat no matter how many times it is removed. Fury acts as a strong piece of removal that can be cast for free because Squee can be cast from exile, and in slower matches, Fury is a huge bomb that can be deployed if you're patient enough. In Group D, our winner was Gammy, who was playing a familiar deck list: Energy Field, Sand Silos, and Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. This deck attempts to win the game by casting Ulamog the fair way. It actually banks up mana in the Sand Silos to pay the full cost, and the way it can get away with it is that Energy Field will protect you from damage as early as turn 4. Ulamog's ability to shuffle itself and the rest of your graveyard back into your deck is also a very strong safety net against hand attack based strategies. In Group C, our winner was Lemon Dragon, who was playing Sen's Tactician, Path to Exile, and Plains. A very simple, straightforward strategy, but it turns out having Path to Exile to take care of your opponent's threat will earn you a lot of free wins and protect you from many losses. In Group B, our winner was Yabio, who was playing Bayou, Cabal Therapy, and Swarm Shambler, another kind of classic 3-card blind deck. The combination of a powerful hand attack spell like Cabal Therapy and a Chronomaton variant like Swarm Shambler is a reliable pairing that offers a lot of power when you take the first turn of the game, while remaining pretty reliable even when it takes the second turn, because the many Chronomaton variants are very reliable creatures that can push through just about any defender. And Swarm Shambler actually has a relevant effect on it. Unlike a lot of other one-threat decks, you don't immediately fold when your opponent shows you a removal spell. In Group A, our winner was Jamboree, who was playing another deck with a Chronomaton variant at its core, and in this case it was actually Chronomaton itself. The deck was Chronomaton, Island, and Piracy Charm. I'd like to highlight Piracy Charm here because of how effective it was in this particular meta, and you probably already have a clear understanding why just from watching this video. The +2/-1 mode on Piracy Charm makes it one of the most versatile pieces of removal in this particular meta. It can kill other players' Chronomaton variants, and also can snipe Mayor of Avabruck, which is one of the format boogeymen right now. When you're not up against a deck that has a creature with 1 toughness, Piracy Charm can be used to force the opponent to discard a card. Because a lot of 3-card blind decks rely on all 3 of their cards for their strategy to come into full effect, Piracy Charm is rarely a dead card. Before we move on, I do want to cover one more deck, because Subnova 42 is still our reigning 3-card blind champion, with a whopping 1855 ELO rating. Subnova managed to come in 2nd place this month in Group A using Angel of Sanctions, Invocation Store, and Solitude. This deck packs a lot of removal without giving up as much power as some other control variants within the format. With that, I'd like to congratulate our winners one more time, and move on to discussing the list of cards that will be included in this month's ban vote. As a quick refresher, this list of cards will be the ones that the community has the ability to vote on to determine whether they will remain legal in the format next month. Given how balanced the format felt this month, this list was not easy to come up with. First up, we have Chain of Smog and Mindrake, which are being bundled together in the vote. Their fates are linked like Romeo and Juliet. If one of them goes, so does the other. The logic behind bundling these cards together is that we want the ban vote to feel impactful, and it would be a bit silly to ban one of these cards when players would just immediately turn to the other, which is essentially functionally identical within this format. The reason we're voting on these 2 cards is because in a deck like Mox Jet, Chain of Smog, and Mishra's Factory, it is possible to blow up most of your opponent's hand on the very first turn of the game before they're able to meaningfully react. Next up, we have Chancellor of the Forge. As mentioned before in this video, Chancellor of the Forge is somewhat an iconic card within the 3-card blind format. The purpose of including the card on the list is to try to create as much of a shakeup in the format as possible. Removing Chancellor of the Forge from the format would act as a soft ban for some recurring decks like Chancellor of the Forge Foil Island and Chancellor of the Forge Dwarven Hold Fury. Next on the list, we have another format icon, Chronomaton. Out of its many siblings, Chronomaton currently holds the highest win rate, a 59% average score in December and a 56% lifetime average score. Despite having the appearance of draft chaff to many people who are less familiar with the format, Chronomaton is one of the most reliable 1-drops within 3-card blind. Because Chancellor of the Forge and Chronomaton are so iconic to the format, I do want to mention here that the bans are not intended to be permanent. The goal is to have temporary shakeups in the format where cards on the ban list that aren't viewed as problematic can make their return to the format occasionally. Next on the list, we have Energy Field, a card that has been popping up in the same deck list for the past 5 months. Energy Field, Sand Silos, and Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. For those of you who are fans of this card and might not want to see it go away, I do think it's mention worthy here that the card Island Sanctuary exists as an alternative that has a couple of drawbacks associated with it, so banning Energy Field could be seen more as a nerf to the Ulamog plus storage land strategy than a true elimination of that style of play. Next on the list, we have Mayor of Avabruck, which is probably the strongest 2-drop in the format since Lupine Prototype has been banned. Honestly, the discrepancy between Mayor of Avabruck and whatever the second strongest 2-drop might be is so vast that I'm not even sure what that card would be. Banning Mayor of Avabruck might encourage players to be a little more creative with what 2-drop they choose to include. And to no one's surprise, the final card on our list is Volatile Fault. I think that Volatile Fault is probably the fairest version of Strip Mine that we've seen become popular in this format so far, but it is still a version of Strip Mine. For that reason, and out of respect for tradition, we're putting Volatile Fault up on trial so that the community has an opportunity to send the card to join its many brothers. That wraps it up for our list of cards that will be part of the ban vote for next month. To participate in the ban vote, you'll need to go to the website and go to the Participate tab, or you can just use the link in the description of this video. Ordinarily, when the ban vote concludes, I create a video to review the ban updates with the community here. That being said, because it is the holidays, I am going to be quite busy and I suspect many of you will be too. For that reason, rather than making a comprehensive video, I'm going to be creating something more akin to a blog post that you can read by joining the Discord channel. Either way, you'll be able to review the ban updates by visiting the website. If you are celebrating, I'd like to wish you a happy holidays, and either way, thanks for watching, and see you soon.